I wanted to share with you how the circus saved my life. And way back in 1992, my elder brother, Martin, committed suicide. And I'd been totally in awe of him. His talent, his charisma, even his neurosis. He was a trained actor and a very gifted musician. Now, Martin had always been sort of sensitive and challenging. Well, that was his role in our family. I was the sensible one, the stable one. So when I told my mum, aged 18, that I wanted to go to drama school, she told me, but you're being really self-indulgent. I mean, that's fine for Martin. He's emotionally fragile, but you're capable and you're competent. You should become a headmistress. Of course. This is what my grandfather had said, and my mum agreed with him. Now, as for my dad, well, he was even less positive, if that's possible. He's an Iranian migrant, and for him, it was important that I had a profession, I earned a decent salary, and I was respectable. And being an actress certainly wasn't respectable. Well, I did go to drama school, and I'd been out about 4 years when Martin killed himself, where he was bipolar, gay, and Iranian, and that's a rather tricky combination. And when he died, I fell into such a deep depression that at times I didn't want to go on. I think if someone had told me, well, your life's going to end, I wouldn't have cared. I didn't value it. So one of the greatest favours a friend of mine did for me at the time was to encourage me to put some of that anguish into a piece of physical theatre. And this was a completely different way to working to when I was at drama school. We were devising a script from an idea, just from scratch, not from a previously written script. And I found it really liberating, both emotionally and artistically, with those other actors and artists who I was working with and collaborating with, and then finally with the audience with whom we presented it to. Now, the piece that resulted wasn't directly about my situation. It was called The Spirits, and it was about a mother and son. And in The Spirits, the son contracted a deadly virus, and the mother desperately was trying to save his life, but she couldn't, and he died. And I played the mother. And as I was creating that piece, I started to feel my depression begin to lift, and I felt tangibly happier and more confident. I'd had something that I wanted to say, I'd transformed it into a work of art, and I'd presented it in front of an audience, and that audience seemed to empathise and understand with what I was trying to say. And this way of working, I just loved it. It's called devising, and it's how we, in BandBazi, we create the majority of our professional productions. So very soon after this, I went to the Circus Space near here in Old Street and trained as a trapeze artist. Now, if my dad thought an actress wasn't respectable, you can imagine what he felt about me joining the circus. Well, I'd always been very physical as a child, and I took to it really immediately. But I also began to see how I could try and use this as a metaphor in my work, trapeze and other aerial circus skills, like this skill that's been shown, that's the silks or tissue. And I felt that it could add another dimension to what we were trying to say, to the storytelling, not just literally by taking something up into the air, but emotionally, by telling bits of the story in a physical, visual, and often non-verbal way. I felt that we could, really affect the audience on a deeper level than through mere words. And, in my work now as an actress and a trapeze artist, I try and face up to things, both physically and emotionally. Our productions have looked at, my brother's death, anorexia, a father with Alzheimer's. I often explore my British-Iranian heritage and the conflicts that can cause, and the positives that can produce. And in this work, because I take something personal and I'm trying to explore it, I exorcise it. And I feel that my mental health is 1,000,000 times stronger as a result. And very often I collaborate with other artists and writers and directors. And I really do feel that that process of us sharing our own, because they bring their own experiences into the mix, and we sort of, something gets even bigger from my little germ of an idea. And that process of us sharing our ideas and our experiences and transforming them into a work of art, I really find that that allows the audience, it can have a relevance to the audience, and it can be accessible to them. And also, if there's people in the audience who might go, well, you know, I've never experienced that, that has absolutely nothing to do with where I'm from, what I've been through as a person, I do feel that because we're using art as our medium, that makes it more accessible, and then you can feel that the audience, especially when you talk to them afterwards, they have understood a little and they've begun to empathise with what they've been seeing. So BandBazi, my circus theatre company, has been running for about 10 years now, and we often do, alongside our professional productions, we do what's called educational outreach work in the community. And this is often with vulnerable people. And I've seen circus and theatre have the same effect on them as it had on me. And one of the projects that we run is an inclusive youth circus theatre in Brighton. And the young people that come there every week, there they have a safe place. And that's where they can meet and work creatively with other young people from all sorts of different backgrounds. But we also, one of the groups that we try and encourage to access our services are young refugees and asylum seekers, and we offer free places to them to attend. And at this group, where they work creatively with other young people they might never encounter otherwise, they can tell their stories and they can be listened to. And one of the young people we work with, he's called Karaoke, and he's a Kurdish asylum seeker from Western Iran. And he's a really, really beautiful aerial circus performer, in particular on the rope. And you know, as with me, Rocky expresses himself best when he's being physical. And I think that the physicality of it allows him to access the emotional content of what he wants to say and helps him to communicate it. And Karaoke came to the UK when he was 14, along with his older brother, who was 15. And they travelled overland in quite harrowing circumstances, including what sounds like a terrible stint in an adult prison in Greece, and they escaped from there. And in fact, they ended up in Brighton, of all places, just simply because the lorry whose axle they were hanging on to dropped them off there. And it was midnight, and they didn't speak any English. He said they were covered in grease from head to toe. And then this really wonderful homeless person befriended them, gave them a banana, and took them to the local police station. So then they were fostered in Brighton until they were 16 and then placed in social housing. Now, Karaoke still doesn't know the outcome to his asylum case and his application for leave to remain in the UK, and he's now 22. And really weirdly, his brother, who has exactly the same case number as Rocky, he has been awarded or granted leave to remain, but Rocky still hasn't. And it's just simply through some glitch in the asylum process that he's slipped through the net and he's been turned down. So he's been appealing now for the past 2 years. So he's still here, and his case is under appeal. Well, Karaoke's been with us, with our BandBazi's Youth Circus, for the past 5 years. And in that time, I've variously seen, you know, he's really physical and strong performer, but he's also really sort of emotionally open. It's absolutely, you know, he's really engaging to watch as a performer. And in that time, he's been allowed to express through his circus and his physical theatre, you know, various things like his longing to go to Kurdistan, where some of his family have moved to from Iran, his fear at mixing with British people, and his anxiety at learning to read and write English, and then also just the simple stress that he's been under, you know, being part of this asylum process that has been rumbling on really for 8 years now. And I truly believe that Karaoke's mental health has been supported by the fact that he's been able to come to BandBazi Youth Circus Theatre, that he's been able there to create works of art using his physical skills that talk about his sort of deepest anxieties and his emotional sort of traumas. And when he's created those, he's had a voice and he's been listened to, and he's been respected. And that's really something that doesn't happen very often in his daily life. He also, you know, I do know, I mean, he still does have insomnia. No, it's not like a panacea. It hasn't sort of just a cure-all. He does still have insomnia. He has some depression sometimes. But, you know, that's not surprising, really, because, well, he's been stuck in this, you know, rubbish situation that is the asylum process. So recently, a couple of years ago, we raised a little bit of funding from the Future Jobs Fund that some of you might know about. And he was able to be our creative apprentice for a year. And in that time, he trained to be an aerial instructor, and he now teaches some of the young people in the youth circus. And the younger children just absolutely love having him as their teacher. He's really brilliant with children. And then for the older ones, you know, he's a role model to them. And then there's also, obviously, there's British young people who might not normally have ever encountered someone Kurdish or someone from Western Iran, from that background. And they're just so proud to say that they know him. And their parents respect him. And I've seen them talk to him. They talk to him like an equal. And his dream, Rocky's dream, is to go to Kurdistan, as I said, some of his family have moved to, and to start up a circus school there one day. And I just believe that being a part of BandBazi Youth Circus Theatre, having a platform, a space where he can create work, having a platform where he can present that work to a listening audience has, as with me, saved his life. Thank you.